Hi everyone, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Boy, did you tune in for a good one. We're very lucky today to have Abigail with us. Abigail is a VFX Production Coordinator who's worked at some of Australia's biggest studios, including Plastic Wax, Animal Logic. But again, no one ever wants to hear from Craig, which I'm sad about, but I totally understand. We're going to pass you across now to Jess, who will start getting into all the cool info. Take it away, Jess.
Cool. I'm ready to hear the cool info. Thanks, Craig. And thank you, Abigail, so much for joining us this evening.
It's all right. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So let's get started. You attended AIE. What course did you do and when did you graduate?
I graduated in 2017. I did the Advanced Screen Diploma in Screen and Media.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. And so since then, it's been a couple of years. What's your current role now?
I'm at Animal Logic currently, and I'm a production coordinator.
Amazing. That sounds awesome. And what have you been doing? So is that your first role since AIE, or have you done some other things since then?
I actually started out as a production assistant at Plastic Wax. I moved into a coordination role after a few months. And then I really was keen to move around and see what's out there. And I went to Animal Logic, and I'm still a coordinator now.
Cool. And how long have you been at Animal for?
I'd say about 2 years now, which is exciting.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're really there. It's not like you've just been there for a couple of months. You've really been there.
Yeah, exactly.
That's amazing. And have you worked on any completed products or films?
Yeah. So when I was at Plastic Wax, we did a lot of game cinematic trailers. So I worked on Mortal Kombat, Marvel Powers, United, Civilization, another products like that. But when I was moving over to Animal Logic, we did a lot more feature films. So I worked on Peter Rabbit 2.
Wow. And what has been your favorite product to work on?
That's a tough one. Peter Rabbit 2 was definitely a fun one because it was the first time I really got to see like my name in the credits, which is really exciting. But all of them are pretty exciting to work on.
And since being an Animal, is that the only thing that you've like worked on? Did you come through like halfway through them making Animal, or were you there from the beginning of Peter Rabbit?
Peter Rabbit, yeah. I was there from the beginning. I was in the asset department. So we got to look at all the rabbits being made and got to see them being upraised and fixed up from the original Peter. So it was definitely a really fun experience to be on that one.
Yeah. And you were a coordinator in that department? Or were you part of the like...
A bit of a combination. So I was a coordinator in surfacing. So that deals with the texturing, the fur, anything you visually see. But I mean, we did move around, and I did also help coordinate parts of modeling and rigging. So that's like the actual creation of the geometry, and then the rigging is adding all the bones and structures to the models.
Wow. I have heard from a few other AIE graduates working on the fur was very fun. Working at Rabbit.
Yeah.
Pulling their own hair out while they're making hair. Yeah, awesome. What kind of sparked your interest in getting into VFX production and film and kind of going into production coordinating as well?
I think a mixture of things. I remember, I think originally it would have first started when I was really young. I used to watch all the Disney films and used to be very fascinated with them, especially watching any like Pixar shorts. I think Pip is one of my favorites. So watching them, I'm always thinking, how are they making that? So I think that's definitely something that started it. And then moving into more filming, I remember filming with my little sister in the backyard. We used to make like action shorts with iMovie and I think just as a kid, I think that's where a lot of it started. But moving then into, I think, growing up, then in year 12, there was the multimedia course. So I was very much learning about Blender and After Effects. And that's when I think started getting more into film development that way and then realizing it's a career. You can decide to go into that path. And that's where I am now.
Wow. And was that a subject at school where you could learn Blender, or is that something that you learned by yourself at home?
I actually learnt Blender by myself. So when I was doing in year 12 multimedia, you could choose whatever you wanted to learn, whether it was, you wanted to maybe do sketches or images or photography, or you wanted to get into more 3D. But I was very keen on the 3D software. So I found out Blender was a free application. So I downloaded it, gave it a go, and just played around in it.
Awesome. And the video that we're seeing now on the screen, was this part of your multimedia project?
Yes. So this was a part of my major work for my HSC. I ended up getting a band 6 in it. So because I tried to learn a lot of different things in Adobe Flash and After Effects, and I was trying to combine a lot of different skills that I think AIE is going to definitely help you advance in. But definitely as a young person just trying to learn about all the different kind of things, this is kind of where I first started.
Yeah, this is an amazing start. Like it's already looks like you're ahead of the game before you even started at AIE. Looks really cool.
Thank you.
And here you are now as a VFX Production Coordinator. Can you tell us a little bit more about what your role is and like your day-to-days and how does it work?
For me personally, I think my day-to-day is very much just dealing with organization and looking after my team. I believe that I think majority of the time we deal with the schedules. So whether that's just making sure that we're hitting the client milestones, we're making sure things aren't slipping, and making sure everyone's got things to work on to keep them busy throughout the day. And then just looking after the team. You want to make sure that everyone's happy, everyone's, the problems are being solved, they're communicating their issues, people are being, we have the meetings, make sure they're being voiced. So I think a lot of that is also something that a coordinator must do in their day-to-day jobs. Other things, it depends on the studio also you work with. Sometimes in other studios you actually get a chance to edit. This is making sure that, you get the right frame range, you can then communicate to make sure the renders are coming through. But that's definitely more in the smaller studios when there's a bit more of a job sharing role. And then also there's roles like you get to join on mocap shoots. That was really fun at Plastic Wax. I got to join a lot of the mocap shoots, get to see how originally it was made and get to be a part of that process. So that's something that also a coordinator can get up to. And then other things, there's a lot of roles and responsibilities for a coordinator. I think the main majority is just being organized and make sure things are being communicated throughout departments, because at big studios you've got about 500 people or more, and you have your certain departments that's broken down, but you've got to make sure that the knowledge that's being transferred between different departments is going through. And then including with small studios, like you might need to discuss and find the right people to have them talk to each other. So if a rigger needed to talk to a lighter, you needed to pick the right people, make sure that they're talking to each other, the problems being solved. And I think there are some really core pillars into what a production coordinator needs to do.
Wow, okay, that's a really good insight. And how big are your team? Like you say team quite a few times. How big is that? Is that different departments or is that just one department, or how does that work?
A coordinator can have sometimes they can just have one department, which that can vary in sizes. Animation tends to have a lot of people in their team, where rigging and then modeling might have a bit of a smaller team. But if you're working at a smaller studio, sometimes you get given multiple departments, so your team can be quite large. But then if I tend to find when you go to a bigger studio, you get a more of a specialized department. So for me at the moment, I'm with rigging at the moment. So I think we have about 15 people in our team.
Okay. And then would there be a coordinator for all the other departments? And then would you guys then coordinate together?
Yes. So for assets department, we have a coordinator for each one. So you've got modeling, servicing, and rigging, and we work together to make sure the assets come together. And then we then communicate to the layout calls or the animation calls to make sure they're getting what we're trying to send to them. So yeah, so normally you have a coordinator per department.
Okay. What are some, I guess, challenges that you face as being a production coordinator? Some of the hard areas.
Yeah, sometimes there's many challenges, but I think one would definitely be the technical. Sometimes things can just go over your head and you're like, what are they talking about? But I think that's when you can rely on your lead and your supervisor to help you support that and figure out what's the best method and where to kind of go and take the issue.
Okay, awesome. Just have so before Animal, so at Animal, have you gone through a whole bunch of different departments? Like you said, you've been in like rigging, and then you were in like assets. So have you done like, have you gone just why have you jumped between different areas, or are you just given that, or you just work better with riggers, or if you can talk about that, I guess.
I was in servicing for Peter, so that was my pure department was servicing. I helped out at the end of Peter, and I worked more on a bit of modelling and rigging, but then I kind of ventured more into rigging on this my current project, which is good. But then I think my next journey will hopefully more venturing into shots, but we'll see where they place me and where they want me to experiment.
Yeah. See what happens, I guess. What, like, when you're going, when you applied for, say, plastic wax or before Animal, what was it like doing the interview process, and what did you use for your portfolio and your resume? And how did you show that? Because a lot of people who apply for to work in studios, they're showing art or programming or art skills. Wow. How do you show that in a portfolio, and what was the interview like?
When I was applying for plastic wax, I was more applying for a production assistant role. So I didn't really have too much to show, but I did show elements of my first year work and my group projects, as well as a little bit of my second year work, because I was still in development for my second year major work, but I still had bits to kind of show. But then again, production is very much, I think your main key points is getting a good resume and cover letter. You need to talk about your management skills, what you like about your organization, how you help a group project, how you help drive it, solve problems. I think as long as you're covering core main pillars in your resume and cover letter, I think that's where you're really going to shine. But if you do want a visual portfolio, I think your best bet is to just get a really good range of different projects. Make sure that the art style is quite different, because it shows that you have different problem solving, different technical skills. And it just shows a really good range of knowing that you can coordinate different kind of projects. So I think that's a really good thing. If you really wanted to have a visual portfolio, I think that's something you should look out for.
Okay, so you don't just on your website, you don't have Excel like screenshots or shotgun screenshots.
I mean, you could, but I mean, you give it a shot. I haven't done it personally, but I'm sure managers would love to see that you could do it.
So you're just like at the top of your resume, I'm really good at Excel and Shotgun and some other program.
Just send them all the Excel sheets you've ever made. Yeah, you could do that.
Yeah, sweet. And with the interview process, did you go into the studio? Did you get to look around, or was it like online, or how did that part work?
No. But yeah, I got to go into Plastic Wax and Animal. Plastic Wax was just one interview process. I only had to meet up with the HR and the line producer at the time, which was good. It was exciting. I got to meet the studio. But then when I went to Animal, I also went in, but I had to go to 2 different interviews. So the first one was getting through the first step, and then the second one was more meeting other people and making sure that I was going to suit the role.
Okay, so yeah, seeing if you're a culture fit sort of thing. Yeah,
perfect. Yeah.
Okay. How do you think AIE kind of set you up for a role like this?
There's a lot of things I think they set up for. A lot of technical skills. Like I feel like as a coordinator, the more I know about technical, the easier my job is. So I know how to communicate to people. I know how to take certain notes. I understand what they're talking about, where the problem might be lying, and who I can go to talk about the problem. But then also I think a lot of it comes to the group work. I think as a coordinator, and if you want to ever get into management, I think that's your group work is where you're going to shine the most. You want to practice doing the scheduling, writing notes, checking to make sure things are going ahead, make sure that nothing's slipping, make sure that, just checking everything's okay, and just shining in that elements.
Okay, yeah. And I'm just trying to think, when you're working with other production coordinators, have they come from like a 3D background, or they've done like a course like at AIE, or are they've just done management or something like that, team management?
I think it's surprising that I have met a couple of people that haven't actually had any experience in the background, but I think majority of time you learn on the job. That's what I've always been told by the other coords that haven't really had an experience in a 3D background or studied it. Because a lot of the times problems can be very repetitive, and you can always lean on your lead and your supervisor to kind of help guide you where the problems might be. So you don't necessarily need to have those kind of background skills, but I find it definitely helps to have them. I haven't really met anyone that has really studied the management side of things, but I think an assistant role, you can kind of just jump in and you can just look around and see how people coord, and you can catch on pretty quickly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's some good insight. When you started at AIE, did you think that you were going to go into a coordinator role when you first started, or did you went into AIE thinking you were going to do VFX or animation? What did you think you were going to end up in?
I definitely didn't think I was going to be in management and production. I thought I was going to get into surfacing and compositing. I was really interested in that until a lot of the group projects, I just naturally fell into the management roles because I really enjoy it. I like making sure things are on track. And my teacher kind of pulled me aside and was like, hey, heads up, you really got some skills in management. Would you ever consider it? And I always thought that wasn't really an option. I didn't realize I could do it as a career. And then I applied for it and I got a role as an assistant and I love it. So I think I always look back and see if I could potentially be an artist, but I definitely love management very much.
Yeah, awesome. And before we were showing some videos of your major project, if we can pull that up on screen. So tell us a little bit about your second year major project at AIE. Or how many people were in your team?
I think we had about 7 people in my team, I think, or 6. It was a really good project. We based upon Simon Style and Hagg's concept art. So we were going for more of a sci-fi emotional kind of video. It was really quite fun. We wanted to play around with live footage and then 3D elements and start and try and play around and mimic what sometimes bigger studios do when they go and actually shoot footage and they actually comp things subtly in the background. We were really wanting to kind of play on that and hint on that kind of portfolio piece. It was really fun. We went out and we actually hired an actress. So she came out on set and we ended up borrowing a red camera from AIE, who they actually let us go out and shoot with it, which was really fun. I think we spent about 3 days on set shooting. It was a very long day, but it was very fun. It ended up raining, which was unfortunate, but we tried to make it work. And then otherwise we end up modeling all the pieces. We did all the housework. We did trees, speed tree. We surfaced all the props, and we then composited them together. We also got the chance to do a lot of green screen. So AIE actually let us shoot with a green screen, and we got to get some really interesting footage, and it was a really good experience. I think a major work we were really trying to push the boundaries and try and see what we could make, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, awesome. And how was the rest of your team? Did you all get along? And obviously you as the shining coordinator, was everything done on time and to schedule?
It had its moments. No, but everyone in the team, we were all really, really good team. We really enjoyed working with each other. We really bounced off each other. I think anyone that felt like they were struggling would definitely voice a concern, and we would always try and support them. in terms of things going to plan. I mean, there's only so much you can do, and everyone's still learning. So we had a lot of edits and takes to kind of make sure that we were gonna get it in time. And I mean, things slip, but that's the best part about coordination and working with other people, is making sure that you can get things back on track and make sure things are still flowing.
And it was a really beautiful piece that you guys made in the end. I don't remember seeing it there's nothing, I didn't see anything, and then all of a sudden it was like, wow, you guys did a really good piece and it came together really well in the end. We've definitely been using it for a few marketing things with AIE. So yeah, you did a really good job there.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we've got a little bit of your year one project. I know it's only like a few months into your first year at AIE. People watching at home, AIE, it goes for 2 years, our advanced diploma courses. So tell us a little bit about your first project.
So in first year we get to choose kind of who you get to work with, and we end up combining with a bunch of people that wanted to get into like rigging and surfacing, and they also wanted to do a bit more of Houdini. So we end up doing a really short piece, just about like a butterfly landing on a shelf. So we went out and we shot the footage of the actual wall. We then modeled, and then we got it rigged up, and then did sims on the buildings, and we then composited it all together and made sure you had like a matte painting background. And it's only, I think, a couple of weeks you get to make it, and I think might be about four weeks or so. But it's definitely a short time to kind of your first project working together as a team. So I mean, it was fun, and we learned a lot. It was really enjoyable.
Yeah, learned a lot, and then you definitely improved the second year. Even though this is like this is amazing work as well, even for first year, doing a style of short animation like that, which is super cool. When you started at AIE, what was it like your first kind of like weeks? Like first maybe a couple of weeks at AIE. What were the teachers like and the students like, and what was just like the whole I guess vibe of AIE?
The vibe's very chill, and the teachers are really great. Like they're all from the industry, and they're all really kind and friendly and very welcoming. I find that anytime that you're struggling or you have any concerns, they're always here. They're always going to listen to you. So, I mean, thank you for all the teachers that ever listen to my complaints. They are great. They're really good, and even everyone, all the students, they're so friendly and they're so welcoming. Like there's places like Beer and Pixels where you get to meet up and you get to talk to each other, and it's definitely a really welcoming community, and you get to learn and grow up other people because everyone has their own skill sets, and you get to have group projects with them and you get to learn of them. So it's a really good vibe being at AIE. Sorry.
Same thing. And are you working alongside any students from your class?
It's actually quite hilarious how many times you work at a studio and you look around, they're all from AIE. so I mean, we do have a lot of. I think there's actually a speaker coming up, Tim Box, he also works at Animal Logic at the moment. So yeah.
It's slowly taking over the world, one studio at a time. Exactly. If anyone like out there is watching this and wanting to get into VFX or being a production coordinator, what's some maybe advice that you would give them? Any words of wisdom?
Start applying anywhere. You just want to have experience. So even if it's an assistant role, you get to still have the experience to look around. You get to see what does a coordinator do. You get to see how the studio environment works. I think that's really, really valuable, and I really enjoyed working as an assistant at the beginning. And then 2 would definitely be to just to learn everything at AIE. I found that sometimes I feel like I wasn't too interested in some subjects, and I was like, oh, I'm never going to be this role. And then I became a manager, and I was like, oh God, I should have listened. Definitely, it's so important just to learn everything, because you never know. You might want to change. You might want to become a servicing artist or modeling. Like even at the time it doesn't interest you, just definitely learn everything. It's so important, and it's so much fun to learn everything. I feel like you you get to be more of a generalist, and it's really important, just in case you want to jump, just to learn everything. And then also just making connections at AIE. I think it's really important because like I was saying before, you walk around every studio and everyone knows everyone. So just make connections and have fun, and you never know where it's going to get you.
Oh, that's so nice. And even those maybe those who are in high school that are watching on, maybe they're in year 11 and 12 and thinking about their future. Do you have anything maybe you could add on to that for them?
I did the Cert 2 of AIE, so definitely join that. That's a really good insight to learn how to use Maya and how to do some concepts and get that started. I feel like that definitely helped me learn more about 3D and Maya when I was in year 12. And just go to the opening days, have a look, and I always found it was just good to kind of see what you might be learning and how you can kind of grow and develop.
Yeah. Awesome. Nice. Well, that's all the questions that I kind of had planned to ask you, because I was so interested about what a production coordinator does, especially at a place like Animal Logic. And you've done such an amazing job since leaving AIE and working at Plastic Wax and at Animal and at Peter Rabbit and a whole range of different games and films and stuff like that. So yeah, thank you so much, Abigail, for stopping in tonight. And we've got cool Craig back again this way. I know Craig's got a few things that he would like to show everyone back at home, but thank you so much again for stopping by tonight, Abby.
Yeah.
That's all good. Thanks for having me.
Just before we let Abby go, as far as next week comes up, we have one of our grads who is getting closer to releasing an amazing, gorgeous 2D game that she's working on. You may have seen their work floating about Twitter, where they're working on Pokemon Yeah and Pokemon Na. So we'll really be able to deep dive into their process for creating those characters, which is a fan project, sorry, not an official Pokemon announcement. But also just the 2D work that they're creating in their normal project. For VFX Studios, I think there'll be a really great tips in there for those of you wanting to hone your 2D skills. But while you're also there, you can also check out, we have a bunch of different events coming up as well. Applications are open for 2021 courses as well, so you can hit that blue button just there. And personally, I find it fun just to go there, see it turn green, then go, and then click the apply button. That's always fun. But enough of that. Thanks so much, everyone, for spending some time with us. I hope it's been great fun. Don't forget, go back and watch this again so that you can really write down all the amazing tips. Thanks again, Abby, for spending some of your evening with us.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.